Good evening, my dear friends. It's another week, and today is my sixth episode of my travelogues that cover a new nations. So all my dear friends, photographer, and travel mates, as well as traveler around the world. I'm going to share with you today a country by the name Bolivia in Southern America, South America's continent, a country that has been independent for close to 200 years. I hope that you stay tuned because I'm going to share with you not only the photograph but also a lot of information pertaining to this country that I have visited in the year 2018. This year is partly a difficult year for many one of us, and for Malaysians, we are actually now in a very difficult situation whereby the COVID cases have gone up. I hope you just stay safe and stay strong. I shall proceed with this proper. Okay, and sorry for a slight delay. Now, Bolivia, as far as I'm concerned, he have a long history. And as far as I'm concerned, it was actually under the Spanish rule for nearly 300 years. And at the same time, during the 300 years, that's from 16th to 18th centuries, before the Spanish rule, actually is under the Inca Empire. And even though Bolivia achieved its independence in the year, I believe it's 1809, about 200 years from here, from now, but they still have a 16 years of civil war before they declare as a Republic of Bolivia. Now, actually, you look at Bolivia, it's a landlocked nation. I mean, a country that have no sea coast. But frankly speaking, that I was told, look at the history. There's a Pacific War that started in 1879 to 1884, where Bolivia lost to Chile, and therefore he lost his sea coast to Chile. Now, official language of Bolivia is Spanish, and also 36 indigenous language. They mean that he have 37 languages as an official language. And of the indigenous language, Amara and Quechua is the two most spoken language. The nation owns many world ranking, such as the highest freshwater lakes, highest capital cities, and largest salt flats in the world, and many more. I will share with you as I go along. Now, at the same time, you realize that actually the geographically, the entire nation, the Bolivia, is divided by a mountain range known as Cordillera Oriental, that cutting from north to south. On the eastern side of this mountain range is actually the Amazon basin, and on the western side is Altiplano, or we used to call them Aden plateaus. It's a very high plateau. So this mountain range is of volcanic in nature, and therefore you will expect to see a lot of volcano mountain along the way. Now, so this is basically the map of the South America, and you just look at the location of Bolivia. Bolivia is somewhere at the center, and you found that the top of it is Brazil and Peru. Well, on the southern part you have Paraguay, and also we have the Argentina, and of course the coastal side is the Chile. So actually he's been enclosed by 5 nations. From Malaysia to South America, to Bolivia in particularly, we have to fly more than 24 hours excluding transit time. At the same time, the time zone difference is 12 hours exactly. That means what? Now we are 9 p.m. Actually, there is 9 a.m. Alright? So this is a bit on the Bolivia. And let's look closely to this Bolivia maps. You realize that actually on the eastern side, as basically the Amazon basin is on the lowland. But the moment the entire east, west and southern west regions is a plateau, Aden Plateau. And for your info, this is one highland plateau. And as far as concerned, is the second largest highland plateau beside Tibetan Plateau. I will share more with you about these plateaus on next week's episode. But let's move on. On today, we are cover mainly the La Paz City, Lake Titicaca. These are the two areas that enough for me to spend for this evening. Now, I started the journey actually not straight to Bolivia. My journey to Bolivia actually is a journey to Peru and Bolivia, these two countries. And as we fly to Lima of Peru, and then from Lima, we flew up to a town highest in the plateaus, and then from there you by land, you cross over the border, passing through Lake Titicaca. So Lake Titicaca will be our first encounter in Bolivia. So in my presentations, I will then start with Lake Titicaca. So this is just to give you a view of our journey. I will thank my travel mate, Mr. Cole, for helping me in this plan out these routes. And you can see that we are in Peru side. We are actually at the point A, actually the Lima. Then from there, you take a flight, then to the point B, and then from there you by land all the way. Then we cross over the border. Then is where at the Lake Titicaca area, and then after that, then continue a journey exactly on the entire journey in Bolivia is exactly at Aden Plateau, and minimally the altitude is 3,000 meter to 5,000 meter. Okay, let's start with the Lake Titicaca. Now, if you look at the picture, you realize that the cloud is the sky seems very very low, or particularly look at the cloud. The cloud is almost touching with the water lake surface. It's indeed because I'm going to share with you some of the facts about Lake Titicaca. Now, Lake Titicaca, as I mentioned earlier, is a freshwater lake and located at an altitude of 3,811 meters. My dear friend, it's very close to 4,000 meters. And the lake been regarded as the highest lake in the world. Even during my primary school time and study geography, we have been told Lake Titicaca, the highest lakes in the world. And it's also the largest freshwater lake in the South America continent. This lake currently is shared by two nations, that is the Peru and Bolivia. And the lake also possibly one of the 20 ancient lakes in the world, right? They mean that beside in my earlier episode, I've covered the Lake Baikal, which is one of the ancient lakes, and Lake Titicaca, it happened to be the next ancient lakes. Now, Lake Titicaca also known to the local, all right, and as the birthplace of Inca, or the birthplace of the sun. Shasta is considered as the cradles of Aden's civilization. And due to the large volume of water, the lake water temperatures were constantly maintained about 10 degrees Celsius. And this have an important bearing to the climate there. Because of this, the water temperatures are maintained about 10 degrees Celsius. So the temperature, the climate around the lake region also have been neutralized, not going to such an extreme, and therefore it's very favorite for agriculture. Now the lake discharges water, southward to a river called Desaguadero, and this then from this river discharges to another lake, and the lake is called Lake Pupo. Happen to be this lake, Pupo, is very shallow, only 4 meters in depth. And because of Bolivia, you look at the picture now, because Bolivia have no waterfront, no sea coast, right? There's no seaport as far for the entire nation. And what happened and this happened to be a freshwater lake, and therefore the Bolivians have taken it like a seaside for them. And therefore they have all form of sea sport and take it here as a place of vacation. So you can see there's a lot of boats, there's a tourist boat, and when you're crossing from Peru, you can see from this picture. And the uniqueness is that you see the crowd is exactly at the horizon of the lakes because of the extreme high altitude of this lake. Okay, this is another picture to show that how clean the lake is, and then the crowd, the condition of the crowd is just almost touch the surface of the lakes. And a few more pictures of the Lake Titicaca. We have our lunch, the first lunch in Bolivia here. The fish meal, very nice, and I like it very much. In fact, it's one of the best meal I have when I was in Bolivia. So you can see that the local have taken this area as a vacation spot for them. And when we are crossing from Peru to Bolivia, we also have to cross the lake. And what ferry us cross the lake is this very unique type of, I don't know how to call them, but then you see from the next picture, this house, our bus on just a courier or ferry that bring us from one point, from the Peru, Lake Titicaca on Peru side, to the Lake Titicaca in Bolivia side. When we reached the Bolivia, as a sometime we saw the coastal image, and on the way to La Paz. Happen to be La Paz is about 90 km away from the Lake Titicaca. So our journey take about 2 hours, an hour plus to 2 hours. And while passing, we see this beautiful countryside, a very peaceful, very peaceful green countryside. I like the scenery here very much. Well, this picture is taken while on a moving bus. And okay, finally we arrived to the so-called the highest capital city of the world. Now La Paz, interestingly, they have two capitals. Bolivia have two capitals. La Paz is one of them. La Paz is actually the administrative and legislative capitals. The other capital is called constitutional capitals. It's Sucre. And Sucre is located at a much lower altitude. I was told it's about 2,700 meters above sea level. However, for La Paz, the altitude is quite high. It's 3,640 meters, which is slightly lower than Lake Titicaca. Okay, let's share with you. Just look at the image. You realize that this is in fact La Paz is not the most populous city in Bolivia. There are a few other cities. In fact, he ranked number 3rd. Now, La Paz sits in a canyon created by the Cuyapu River and is the administrative capital of Bolivia. And this city has been recognized as the world's highest capital city, located in Adam Plateau. Right? I told you just now that Adam Plateau itself, the lowest altitude, never less than 3,000 meters. And it can range, the mountain there is about 5,000 to 6,000 meters high. Mostly volcano. And this hill city was founded in 1548 with very limited flatlands, and yet is recognized as most populous city in Bolivia. In fact, I told you just now it's the third. The city has been recognized as the new Seven Wonders city of the world in the year 2015. Now, let's see how the La Paz city look like. And you can see that the flatlands is only right at the center portion of these so-called canyons. And the rest of it basically is all hill, surrounded by hills, mountain range. And a unique thing here, you look at this picture, is that the, what do I say? In Malaysia, the rich guy will stay on the hill. Those rich people, they build a house on the hill. And the poorest one will stay in the flatland. But in La Paz, it's the reverse. The rich guy are staying on the flatlands. The poor guy is staying up the hill. And you realize that most of the buildings, almost all the buildings, the residential buildings are built of bricks wall and without any plaster, right? Just bare, bare finish. And I presume this is the only stadium, a large stadium that you can find in La Paz City. You can see this is just another corner of the city, the residence area on the hill of La Paz. And this part, of course, happened to be a bit more high-rise. And you look behind the high-rise building. What you see is basically mountain range, and it's so close. And literally speaking, I should say that it's been almost fully developed. They didn't hardly have any flatland now, or even space. Any space they have is actually on the hillside. And this is a closer view of the residential buildings, all very closely packed together. And therefore, in La Paz, one of the very unique things is that the public transport is by means of cable car. And as far as concerned, this cable car, to my understanding, is the largest and highest cable car network in the world. And you have, when I was there, I was told you have 8 lines, and a few more lines are under constructions. And I would strongly suggest that actually the best way to have a view, a nice view and a comprehensive understanding of La Paz City is taking their cable car. And they in order to make it easy to recognize the line, as usual, like most other world, in other world they have those LRT or metro or subway, they use color. So same thing in La Paz. They call line, green line, red line, blue line, and to distinguish the various cable car routes. And this is one of the cable car station. And you look at the building itself is green. It means that this is green line, right? And even inside, everything, the cable car also is color greens. So taking a cable car, you have a best aerial views of La Paz City. And you take maybe 2 lines, diagonally to perpendicular to one another. That's the best way to cover 360 degrees of La Paz City. And as I said, La Paz or Bolivia have been ruled under colonial rule or Spanish colonial rule for close to 300 years, from 16th to 18th century. Sorry, I think it's not the 16th. I think 16th, 18th century, and therefore you can expect that a lot of architectures are Spanish, affected by Spanish influence, and therefore when you walking in the old city area, you realize that a lot of those church building facades, plaza, a lot of monuments and things like that are actually very much to do with the Spanish colonial era. And of course that the city have host several cathedral, just as the what should I say, that some of the very famous San Francisco Church that was built in 1548 and rebuilt in 784, and the Metropolitan Cathedrals in 1835. And also there's a this is just to show you that some of the architectures that have more than 300-400 years. Right? These all are Spanish architectures that you can find in this La Paz city. And this is San Francisco Church. All these buildings are located in the Old Town District and actually all within walking distance. And therefore, you can just spend the whole day by walking around. You can cover quite a fair bit of that. And also, La Paz, uniquely in this town center, they have so many museums, big and small. Of course, all these are all private museums, and therefore you have paid to get entered to view of that. Now, in this old La Paz district, right, and you not only have found a lot of museums, but also you found that a lot of those streets, old streets, are all cobblestone streets, right? And they have a lot of Spanish design building facade. So this is just to show you some of this building facade of this church, and this is one of the building. And this is actually the doors to one of this building. And then there's one very important square. We call them Murillo Square, right? And also they call them Plaza Murillo. And this is actually the very popular assembly point for both local as well for the tourists. And it's actually approximately at the center of the Old Town District. It's also an important attraction spot because they close proximity to a few of the very famous landmarks, such as the Presidential Palace, the National Congress of La Paz, and cathedrals of Basilica of Our Lady of Peace. So, and in this square or plaza, there's a lot of what I think you know, pigeons, right? And I was actually quite amazed by this these few ladies there. They're sitting there and they're feeding the pigeons, and the lady in green is even selling the drink and ice cream, and while the other two is just sitting there and feeding the pigeons. And while feeding it, all the pigeons will fly right over the lady there, and she was just don't know what to do with that. You can see the expression of her face, and I caught this in my cameras. And I mentioned earlier, it's a hill city, and therefore, particularly at the Old Town District, you find that the roads are generally very narrow. And you can see from these pictures, and also not only that, you see that most of the road are cobble pave, right, or stone pave, you can call that. And another uniqueness is that it's very, very steep, right, and walking is quite tiring sometimes. So you're uphill, downhill. Mostly you are walking, either you're ascending or you're descending. There hardly you can find much flat land. You can see this picture will show you how steep it is, and happen is these are two ladies walking by, and you can see the facade of the door. Frankly speaking, when I go around, when I travel, I like to take people's door. The door, the windows are that tell a lot of story about history and also the culture of a place, a religion of a place. So please pay about attention if you're a photographer. That I think please pay attention on those door and window. It's very interesting. This is another scene on the old town, old district. And you found that actually so narrow that it's one car, can allow one car to go by. And it had to be one-way street. If 2 cars, I think that they jam up the entire road. And of course, in Old Town District, it's also become a tourist spot. You see, in anywhere, even you go to Thailand, you go to Chiang Mai, Chiang Mai also have a Old Town District, And therefore, you found that there you will find a lot of souvenir shop, a lot of sundry shop that they're selling things to the tourists. So likewise in this part of the town. And I was told, as a photographer, I was told that mind you that the people don't like you to take their pictures. So when I take the picture, I'm extremely careful. That's why I use telephoto lens as much as I can to avoid close encounter to the person, because they really don't happy. They give you a nasty face if they saw you take up the camera and point at them. But some, of course, they are welcoming, but not all. So you can see that this is the shop at the Old Town District area. It's very packed, very small shop, and then very compact. A lot of things you can see. You can spend your time that you like shopping. Probably, I think you will spend many hours here. You can get your souvenir here. And this is some of the locals textile thing that actually produced by the locals. And they like colorful things. So you can see that all the things that sell here are so colorful and so brightly displayed. And actually, it become a best piece of thing for photographer. But what interests me more is that as I go walk around this Old Town District, cutting through some lane, side lane, I realized that there's a lot of street art, right? And this street art is painted on the wall. Hello, yeah. So, and this is a picture of mine. I'm inside, and it's not only one wall. There are many such picture, graffiti, but then you call it mural because they painted so well. And this is another one on one of the wall. And this is another one. Well, I found many of them. So I take almost every one of them. Then the other interesting part is that it's called a Sunday market. And as the word Sunday, you had to be there on Sunday. And this Sunday market, few streets in this Old Town District will be closed for traffic. And then those vendor or the trader from the surrounding region will then start gathering, right? And they come in and start setting up their store right early in the morning, about 7, 8 o'clock. You found that they already start setting up their store, and they are there for the whole days. If it's unless it's rainy day. If not, actually, even some of them will even last until 7 or 8 p.m. until the night fall. And you can actually, this Sunday market is also a good place for you to experience the local culture, the type of food they eat, and the thing that they wear and they're selling. And you also can find that the two indigenous people, that is basically the Amara and also Quechua. There's two, just I mentioned, the two languages that you allowed is popular, in fact. And these people you can easily recognize by the clothing. And no offending to anybody or to Bolivians. I found that the lady generally are bigger size than Malaysians, much bigger size. Probably they feel that is beautiful. And they also wear very unique hats, and the clothing of course is unique. All these indigenous people, their clothing is totally different, not the normal clothing that you found the Bolivian are wearing. You can distinctly know that they are actually the indigenous people. And so we can see this is some of the street scene, you know. And you can see this is exactly what I meant. These are the people, right? And you can see that the hat they are wearing and the clothing they are wearing. And they're selling the fish, fresh fish. I believe the fish they get from Lake Titicaca. And you were surprised when I take this picture. I also don't know what is this. So I asked one of the our tour guide, hey, what is this? This is called potato. Huh? Why the potato is white color? They said they coated white so that to preserve the potato. And I was told that in Bolivia, they have, I was told, I'm not correctly sure, but they said there are close to 1,000 species of potatoes, variety species of potato. And anyway, I just found very, very fascinating that at this stall, you know. And this is exactly the fruit stall, the vegetable stall. You can see the ladies. And in fact, all these pictures are taken not with the camera put on my waist level. Because if I take it up at my eye level, I think I will get into trouble. A few more pictures of the Sunday market. In fact, we are all fortunate that because we joined the tour at the time, our hotel right at the location where the central market, the Sunday market is. So the moment we walk out from the hotels is the Sunday market. So we are very convenient, can able to access and walk around this old town district perfectly. Have a lot of opportunity for photography. Well, you can see the size. That's why I say that for Malaysian there, you're very happy that you are found to be more pretty. I mean, but for them maybe they are pretty to Brazilians or Bolivian. They may find that this is the standard, you know. And this is a store that's selling eggs, right? And the lady that I saw, I took up the camera, point at her, and she just covered her face. And of course, this is the one of the local so-called snack. It's just like our curry puff, but it's actually inside. It's very unique, but I didn't try. But I was told that actually this is one of the very unique curry puff. Not curry puff. It's not curry puff, but it's something whereby they found that this is one of the best snack you can find in La Paz. And like most other city, you find that the most of the overhead cables, all the electric supply is through overhead cable, and therefore you can see that you can find this scene not only in La Paz, you can find this scene also in many countries, like even in Hanoi, you can also find this, you know. And I want to share with you another important place that's not to miss, Witches Market. Now, this Witches Market is a very popular spot for tourists in the old city center. And it is also known as Mercado de las Brujas. The market offers visitors rare and best glimpse into the mystical and superstitious Amara culture. The merchandise sold here mainly for use for traditional Bolivian rituals, and basically include potions, dry fox, dry llama fetus, medicinal plants and herbs, etc. The Amaras believe that in both malevolence and also benevolent spirit. They mean good spirit that wish people well, wish people good, or spirit that were going to cause disturbance to people. They believe in that. And therefore, they believe a goddess. The goddess name, they call them Pachamama. And they're also known as the mothers of sun and moon, which actually is a fertility goddess who preside over planting and harvesting. Just like in Malaysia, we have a harvest festival, in Sabah and Sarawak during the month of June. They also actually believe that this will help them in their planting and harvesting. Now, traditionally, the priests that carried out the rituals are known as yatiris. Y-A-T-I-R-I-S, yatiris. They can be easily recognized by a black hat and also a coca pouch they put on the waist there. And therefore, if you go to a witch market, look around. These are called the witch doctor. So therefore, let's look at some of the pictures that are taken in this witches market. Do you see that some of the dry llama fetus that's hang on the top of the picture there? This is where I mentioned just now. And I was told that actually they bury this dry llama fetus under the foundation of a building, and they believe that by doing so, it brings good luck to the occupant of the building, and therefore a lot of new building, they will then invite this witch doctor to perform these rituals, and whereby they then do all this necessary ceremony to ensure that the occupants are safe and good after the building is constructed. This is just a very much closer view of the llama fetus. Llama is actually animals, a type of species animal, or some people they also call alpaca. You can find this even in New Zealand. And this is just those fetus who die before even given birth, and therefore they are now dried and used for these purposes. They have also all sort of those items they use for these traditional rituals. And of course, they also have some form of this. I'm not sure what is it, but it looks like tonic drinks, and like our so-called we have a so-called type of drink in Malaysia. I cannot remember. But there they also have this, so that they hope that people drink it, they get strong, can be anything, They even can boost your sexual life. I believe that because look at the picture of it, some of it seem to be go toward that directions. So that is about what I'm going to share with you today on the Bolivia, La Paz, and also Lake Titicaca. But I'll give you a preview of what I'm going to share with you in the next episode, because I believe the adventures of the trip only begun in next episode. It's where we start going to the Sala de Uyuni. Right? It's actually the desert journey that we will be there for 3 days, 2 nights. I'll just share with you some of the area we're going to cover in next episode. Now, of course, that the next episode we are going to involve a lot of travelings, and you can see that look at this picture alone, you realize that actually it's a desert zone, and therefore you're going to expect a lot of challenge to your body health. And this is the type of accommodations that we're going to put over there the 2 nights, and it's very, very basic. And therefore, I will share with you more about how we overcome, how we put the night there, and how it look like, the type of accommodation you expect to have. And there are not many accommodations in the desert area, very limited, therefore that you have to pre-arrange, pre-book your trips right now. Once it can easily take up during the peak season. And of course, we also cover a train cemetery, and basically it's a place where they dispose of the unusable locomotive, steam locomotive, because nowadays you realize that actually the locomotive industry, train also have going upgrading with high tech, so a lot of old train which were used mainly for mining purposes was discarded at these regions. And then they come to the famous place that most people go to Bolivia, go to this area, they actually want to go to see Salar de Uyuni. We call them the great salt flats of the world. And I will share with you in next coming episode. And then of course we're going to cover a lot of landform, colorful landform, quite close to POTOSI, a place that actually is another town at the southern tips of the Bolivia. And of course, we are passing through a desert. They call them SILOLI or SILOLI desert. I was told that this desert is part of the Atacama desert of Chile. It's a very dry and very large desert, highland desert. So this is just a preview of what we are going to expect to see in this coming episodes, and I'm going to share with you, of course, there'll be a lot of info as well on the geographically of the regions, and also if time permit. But at the same time, I want to share with you on something I feel that is important for people who want to go to Bolivia, but you want to go to this place. That is actually you must be physically fit. Because when we travel, we realize that most of our journey is actually above 3,000 meters above sea level. And you are likely to expect to experience highland sickness. Of course, not all people will have these problems. But you have to know that as far as concerned that anything above 3,000, that highland sickness is very likely that may hit some of your travel mates. So I would like to just extend some basic advice to any traveler who have any plan to go to Bolivia. Now the night that you put in even the desert zone are actually all above 4,000 meters. And that's why we need to accommodate ourselves to the high altitude. That's why we did not go straight to Bolivia, and that's why we travel to Lima at a sea level, then it fly over to Cusco. Then from Cusco it's actually slightly lower but still considered high, and we stayed there for a few days and then get ourselves accommodated before you move on to Bolivia, and then finally to the 5,000 meter area, 1,000 meter area. So please make sure that accommodation is one of the way you have to do. Do not take shortcut. And the other thing is that don't exert yourself, because at high altitude the oxygen level is tend to be low, right? And also you have to stay properly hydrated, so you have to drink a lot of water. It's very, very dry, and the UV light is very, very strong in this area. And try not to drink any alcohol, right? For the Muslim friend, sorry I didn't mention that, but I mentioned to all the non-Muslim friends that avoid alcohol if you can at these high altitudes. And then eat regularly. Don't eat a big meal, 3 meals. Try to have maybe 4 or 5 meals as smaller portions. That is not to overload your digestion system. And then keep yourself warm at night. The temperature at night is quite extreme, in the daytime and nighttime. And one advice that the best time to go, you want to see to next coming episode, they go to Salar de Uyuni, you want to see the sky mirror itself, the best time to go during the wet season. The wet season basically is during the summer. And the recommended months to travel is January to March each year. And the summer is actually different from, because in the southern continents, southern hemisphere, so therefore our winter, there are summer. So when you travel, it's actually also is at the beginning of the years. And this is a recommended period, and of course less cold, not so cold, but even that at night, the temperature are touching 0 degree facing If you go to during winter, I expect temperature even drop below that. I was told in some time of certain time you may even experience minus 30, 40. But I was told that area is very very windy, right? And this Adam Plateau is very windy, both the day and night. Particularly the night itself, it can be extremely cold. So take care. So I will share with you more on this, and hope you stay strong, and see you again in this coming Saturday. That is, we're going to Bolivia, part 2 of the part 3. We have 3 parts here for Bolivia. I'll cover the part 2 next week, and then follow up for another week's the last part to close the travels to Bolivia. Okay, and I wish to thank you for joining me for this evening, and stay strong, stay safe. Thank you.